Hi, good afternoon to all of you. Today, I'm going to discuss ancient path-breaking discovery, a new unseen phenomena which is called dark oxide. So, why this topic is important for the UPSC aspirant, and it probably uh, may be asked in preliminary examinations, having potential to be asked in the mains also. So, let's understand where we can put this topic within the syllabus. So if you go through the syllabus of the UPSC, so uh, the dark oxygen, this topic may be asked in the when you look at the general studies paper. In case it may be asked in the paper one, in the geography section. It may also a relevant topic, the paper three, that is in the science technology. And as I have said, having potential in pre as well as mains. So some MCQ based question may be asked on this concept, as well as subjective types may be asked as a short note. Yes, paper one as well as paper. As far as optional paper concerned, talking about the geography optional. In the geography optional, it may be asked in the paper one, within the section of geomorphology. Why the geomorphology? Because when you look at some metallic nodules are present within the oceans. These metallic nodules are responsible for this phenomena. It may be asked in the oceanography. So this is the topic which may be asked in oceanography also, because it is a new discovery which is a deep ocean phenomena. In the paper two, when you look at, there is a potential that it will be asked in the paper two also, in geography. Because we have to learn here the Indian Ocean region, and in the deep sea, metallic nodules presents which are responsible for the formation of dark oxide. I'm going. So when you look at the syllabus, this topic is relevant in the paper 1 and 3 of the general studies, as well as the optional paper. When you look at in the geography, specifically in the oceanography, a probable question. Number two, when you cover the Indian region in geography, it may be probable. So this topic is quite relevant for you. Now let's understand what we are going to learn here within this topic, that is the dark oxygen. So when you look at how I will cover the topic, of course, I will start here with the introduction. As I have said, it is a recent discovery. So, who discovered this concept? Where this concept has been discovered? How we know about it? Okay, I will discuss in introduction. Then I will, in introduction, I will also define the dark oxygen. I will also discuss the process of dark oxygen. Now, after this discovery, why this phenomena puzzled the mind of evolutionary biologist, biochemist, and other scientists. I will also discuss this here. When I will discuss the process in the formation process, the metallic nodules which is present, I had already discussed the topic in geography, which is present in the deep sea or the ocean. They are responsible for the formation as per the recent discovery. So the question may be separately asked on the metallic nodules, short notes probable on it. How these metallic nodules help in the formation of the dark oxygen. So in reference to the dark oxygen, the question may be here. Apart from that, the question may be appear because metallic nodules are very important marine resources. So in oceanography, it may be asked as a marine source, metallic nodules. Quickly, as I have said, that the question may be asked on this topic also. What is the significance of these resources, the challenges, etc. So today I'm going to discuss this topic under these subheads. Okay, so let's start the discussion with introduction first. What is this groundbreaking discovery? Who discovered this new unseen phenomena? How this phenomena attracted the scientist or the scientific fraternity? Why the debate is going on over this? And what are the new challenges appear after the discovery of this phenomena, despite it is in the. So let's understand first. When you look at this phenomena, what we observe here that recently in a journal called Nature Geoscience, is it visible? I have to. So what is the 2024 the scientist has explained a new phenomena known as dark oxide. Now, on what basis this phenomena has been described? Who discovered this phenomena? A team led by Professor Andrew K. Whitman. This phenomena has been, so this recently discovered path breaking phenomena, which we call dark oxygen, is discovered by the team of a scientist, Professor Andrew K. Now, what is the dark oxygen? Because continuously I am using this word, so let's understand. This is the term given to the oxygen which is present deep in the ocean, almost around 4,000 meter deep, where the light. Why this phenomena puzzled the mind of evolutionary biologists? Because the recent discovery had challenges or poses the challenges to the long held belief of the origin of life. What was the long held belief of the origin of life? That the life is possible because why the planet Earth is a habitable planet? Because life is possible on this planet Earth because of the presence of the water. And what was the long held belief about the origin of oxygen? What are the process involved? The process involved in the origin of the oxygen is the process of photosynthesis. So what I have said here, the scientists have made groundbreaking discovery. And what was the long held beliefs about the origin of the life and the role of photosynthesis? So what is photosynthesis? Synthesis means formation, photo means light. In the presence of light, okay, some chemical compounds forms. So what is the photosynthesis? As you people know, that in the photosynthesis, the green plants or the algae or the cyanobacteria, that is the blue green algae, utilizes the atmospheric carbon dioxide, also take water, and as a result, what happened? The sugar forms, that is the carbohydrate or glucose, and as a byproduct, water and oxygen released. So the oxygen which is present on the planet Earth, according to the long held belief, is as a result of this chemical reaction. This chemical reactions takes place in a specific cell organelle which is present in the green plants or algae or cyanobacteria. That cell organelle is known as chloroplast. Is the name chloroplast. So the plastids within this chloroplast, I had already discussed the structure of the chloroplast. So within this chloroplast, when you look at this double membrane organelle, the chlorophyll is present. This chlorophyll, that is a green pigment. So the sunlight trapped by the chlorophyll and converted the CO2 and H2O into glucose, that is the sugar, and as a byproduct, water and oxygen leave. This is the long held belief, okay, of the production of the oxygen. Now, as you know, there are different theory of the origin of life, and there are different theory of the origin of the planet Earth. And the most astounding theory is the Big Bang theory. And according to that concept, a Big Bang phenomena took place almost around 13.6 billion before present. As a result of big explosion, as you know, gradually the stars forms, the planet forms, the satellite forms, and other celestial objects form. The stars forms almost 5.5 billion before present, and the planets, including our planet Earth, is forms almost around 4.6 billion before. But what is the long held belief is that almost around 2.4 to 2.6 billion before present, when you look at, there was a phenomena known as great oxygenations process, or the era begins. So during this period, that is the period of great oxygenations era, what happened? The abundance of cyanobacteria grow or originate within the sea. These cyanobacteria, or the blue-green algae, having this pigment chlorophyll, they produce the oxygen, and this liberated oxygen, as a result of photosynthesis, gradually the oxygen started releasing in the atmosphere. So as a result of this photosynthesis, the oxygen is started liberating. And earlier, before this cyanobacteria, the earth was reducing. There was no oxygen. Further, after this photosynthesis, oxygenation process begins, oxidation starts, and as a result, when the oxygen started liberating, the earth atmosphere having abundant of oxygen. As you know, at present in our atmosphere, almost around 21% oxygen is present. The most abundant is nitrogen atmosphere, as you people. The oxygen is also present in the water, because the major molecule of the water is hydrogen and oxygen. So when you look at the water molecule, the atoms are hydrogen and oxygen. They forms the water, which is abode of the millions of the species. So when you look at, this is again a very important concepts. Now, the recent discovery from the depth of the Pacific Ocean by the team of Professor Andrew K. Sweetman is transforming our understanding of the oxygen production. Because what was the long held belief? The long held belief is the oxygen is produced at the places where the sunlight reaches. Because oxygen only produced, according to the earlier belief system, due to the photosynthesis, and for photosynthesis, light is, and the only source of the universal source of light for the our planet, or the planetary system of our solar system. So sun's energy is important, and as you know, because of the various factors including turbidity, transparency, and others, the light is able to penetrate within the oceans almost around 50 to 100. So what is it any probability of the formation of the light deep beneath the ocean? But the recent discovery has stated that almost around 4,000 meter deep in the ocean, the oxygen formation took place, and the scientist has given the name dark oxygen. Now the question is, why it possible where the light is not penetrated? And again, it creates, as I have said earlier, puzzle in the mind of evolutionary biologists. Now, some scientists have started saying that maybe the oxygen present before the 2.4 billion before present, cyanobacteria was not there in the, okay. So now there is a debate. As I have said, it is in the recent stage, and as I have said, this is the oxygen production earlier is due to the process of photosynthesis, what I had described. Okay, now when you look at this, is the discoverer of this new phenomenon, Professor Andrew K. Sweetman. But what was the motive? Whether the motive is the finding the dark oxygen? No. Almost around 12 years back, in 2013, the team of Professor Andrew is Whitman of the Scottish Association of Marine Sciences, SAMS in short, ventured to the Pacific Ocean to assess the possibility of what? The possibility of the deep sea mining and its impact on the oceanic ecosystem. Because as you people know, the oceanic ecosystem is a very complex ecosystem. Okay, now during that study, the Professor Andrew, what they find that oxygen is available in the deep ocean, and he got surprised because for the experimental purpose, if you consider the ocean as a enclosed ecosystem, what you find, as I have said, the oxygen, according to the earlier belief systems, form as a result of photosynthesis. So if you consider the ocean as an enclosed system, okay, so sunlight is penetrated in the zone in the ocean which is known as photic zone, and where the light is not reached is as aphotic zone. So according to earlier belief, the photosynthesis may occur by the phytoplanktons in this photic zone only. Photosynthesis took place at the depth 50 to 100 and 100 meter below the surface of the. But when the Professor Andrew teams find that the oxygen started forming almost around 4,000 meter deep in the sea, almost 13,000 deep in, and he got surprised because according to long held belief it is not possible because light is not penetrating. So try to understand. And where his team reached to study the impact of the deep mining, where the team is reached in the Pacific. The zone which is in Pacific is known as Clarion Clapperton Zone, CCZ. It's a very huge area, almost spreaded in the 5,000 kilometers, larger than the India's, as you know, quite vast. Why he reached here? Because in this zone there is abundance of metallic nodules present. Polymetallic nodules are present in this zone. And the various countries started mining these marine resources. So what was the motive of the team of the Andrew? To understand, okay, the impact of the deep sea. So if you look at, if the sea is enclosed and the oxygen is present in this zone, how the oxygen reached? Because the life existed here in this zone. So according to the earlier belief, the oxygen reached here due to the movement of the ocean current. As you know, in the ocean, okay, the warm current moving on the surface and the cold current in the sea, okay, and the upwelling and downwelling phenomena on because of the tip. In oceanography, I will discuss in detail these phenomena: upwelling, downwelling, and about the different currents and cause of their movement and everything. Okay, those who have attended the class of oceanography, I had already discussed. So, according to the earlier belief system, the oxygen reached here because of this movement of the current. But if you consider the ocean as an enclosed phenomena, the life which has existed there started consuming oxygen of the deep ocean, and the oxygen must reduce here. But what the team of Andrew K. Sweetman find that despite oxygen should consume here, the oxygen is increasing with the time. The amount of oxygen is increasing with the time, and he got surprised. After this discovery, if what earlier he realized that it may be some error, he put a lander to identify a phenomena. What is the lander? Lander to understand the electrolysis process. That lander shrink in the deep sea, and again the result will be the same. The oxygen is increasing with the time. It means the oxygen is synthesizing, forming. Then he knocked the door of his friend. He reached to the friend's house, okay, and he discussed with the Franz Giger about this exciting new discovery. In September 2023, Professor Sweetman reached out to his colleague, Franz Giger, a chemistry professor at the Northwestern University, to discuss this new possibility because he was puzzled, discuss the possible reason behind this inexplicable source of oxygen. And after the discussion, the deep discussion with his friend, finally he came up with the new nomenclature, that is the dark oxygen. Because this oxygen produced where no sunlight can be penetrated in absolute darkness. So, what was the phenomena? What was the process which led to the formation of this dark oxygen? The phenomena is not a biochemical process like food. The process involved in the formation of dark oxygen is electrolysis. Electrolysis. As you know, in electrolysis, in this is the electrolyte where you connect the electrode through the battery, and when the electricity is supplied, okay, this is the positive charged electrode, this is negative charged electrode. The electrolytes, when the electricity started flowing, this what happened, it split the electrolytes into the charged particle, okay, and the opposite charges started accumulating on the cathode and anode. The same phenomena took place there in the deep ocean, and who act like this battery, the polymetallic node. According to the Professor Andrew K. Sweetman, the polymetallic nodules, which is present in the deep sea, the depth of the ocean, in the bottom of the sea, in the Pacific, in the Indian Ocean, because he researched in the CCZ, okay, the central cordillera of the Pacific, which is spreaded in a huge area, 5,000 kilometers, okay, 4.5 billion square kilometer regions, polymetallic nodules are present. These polymetallic nodules act as a battery and involve in the process of electrolysis, okay, creates a minimum amount of potential which is required, that is 1.5 volt. So according to this study, when you look at what amount of potential is required to split the water. So water is split according to this new finding. When this lander go inside, what it find, these are the polymetallic nodules which is found at the bottom of. These polymetallic nodules act as a what? As I have said, it acts as a battery. And this polymetallic nodules, what they did, they split water, okay, into the hydrogen and oxygen ions, and the oxygen formed as a result of this electrolysis process. So here the dark oxygen, this oxygen which is liberated known as dark oxygen, this dark oxygen is as a result of this electrolysis process. And in this process, which what are the major factor, this magnetic nodules act like. So how we can define the dark oxygen now? Based on this recent study, the Andrew K. Sweetman has defined the dark oxygen, okay, as oxygen being produced thousands of feet below the ocean surface without the need for the sunlight or photosynthesis. This process occurs through electrochemical activity, that is electrolysis, not by biochemical activity, rather than the biological process. And the discovery is significant because it reveals a new non-biological mechanism of oxygen production deep in the ocean, expanding our understanding of oxygen cycle. And so it reveals the complexity of the marine ecosystem. It's a very, as I have said, groundbreaking discovery. Create a new debate in the field of evolutionary science. Okay, now let's understand what I have said. Let's understand now here the role of magnetic nodules and what are the polymetallic nodules. The polymetallic nodules, here in the background, there is these are the polymetallic nodules in the bed of the ocean. These polymetallic nodules, when you look at, if you look at, they have the nucleus. The nucleus are made up of the shell of microfossils such as the shark's cartilaginous teeth, the molluscans, for example, the snail's shell, etc. These form the nucleus, the center of the polymetallic node. Around this center, there is a layered structure. Layered structure. Okay. This layered structure forms because of sedimentation and precipitation and other processes involves. This layered structure are of metals. So here the metals are present. That's why these are called polymetallic nodules. Metals like iron, manganese, nickel, titanium, etc., which is present. So these are the sediments which is present in the deep ocean having the nucleus. Nucleus are basically made up of microfossils, as I have given examples, few examples. And this nucleus is surrounded by the layers of the metals and forms finally the polymetallic nodule. These polymetallic nodules are in abundance in the CCZ region where the team of the Professor Andrew studied. Apart from that, these polymetallic nodules also abundant in the Peru Basin. Okay, about 3,000 kilometers off the Peruvian coast. These polymetallic nodules are also present in the Caribbean Basin near the Cook Island, a few thousand kilometers east of Australia, and it is also abundant in the Indian Ocean Basin. That's why I have said that. It may be asked in the paper two of the Indian geography. Now, look at why here, because it is again a separate probable question in civil services exams in pre and mains. So you have to prepare this topic, polymetallic nodules. Now let's understand their process of formation. So how this polymetallic nodules forms. Okay, there are three processes through which this polymetallic nodules forms. One is known as hydrogenous process, diagenetic process, and hydrothermal process. So let's understand one by one what is the process through which this polymetallic node forms. First, let's begin with the hydrogenous process. In this process, the metals which is present in the oceanic water started precipitating. So the metal started precipitating from the sea water. Okay, this process is known as hydrogenous process. And this precipitated metals where there is rich in the iron and manganese. So through this process, when the polymetallic nodules forms, that polymetallic nodules are rich in the iron and the manganese content. And in these polymetallic nodules also, there is a great abundance of the high grade of cobalt, nickel, and the copper. So the process of precipitations through which the polymetallic nodules forms, this process is hydrogenous. What is the diagenetic? Di means two. What are the two processes involved? Remobilization. Try to understand the word remobilization of the metals from the sediments below the nodules, and the another process, precipitation at the sedimentary water surface, led to the formation of polymetallic nodules. This process is known as diagenetic process. Remobilization and precipitation, both the processes involved. So the polymetallic nodules which forms through these processes, diagenetic processes, are rich in the manganese but poor in the iron. Here, the polymetallic nodules which forms by the hydrogenous process rich in iron and manganese both, but here they are rich in manganese, not in iron, and they have less nickel, copper, and cobalt, or low grade nickel, copper, and cobalt, not the high grade like hydrogen. And the third process, which is known as hydrothermal, related to the volcanic activity. Here, the metals are deriving from the hot magma, from the hot springs of the volcanic activity. And this process is known as hydrothermal process. So there are three processes involved through which, okay, what happened? The polymetallic nodules forms. Now, when you look at these polymetallic nodules, as I have said, these are the globular concretions, okay, can also contain the trifling amount of other metals, such as already I had discussed, titanium is also present, molybdenum, lithium, and other rare earth element. And as you know, today for the development of the batteries and other electrical equipment, these rare earth elements very, very important. There is a huge demand at present of the rare earth elements. So the rare earth elements are also present, okay, here in the polymetallic nodules, and due to the presence of the metal in them, the polymetallic nodule display electrochemistry when placed in the, because metal are present, they act like a battery. Okay, when placed in the sea water, what happened? Results in the fizzing due to electric current, which is released, generated. Okay, and to split off the water, 1.5 volt, okay, of the voltage is required. And what the scientists discovered that when the researcher put the sample of the nodule in the seawater in the lab, when they kept take the seawater in the lab and put the polymetallic nodules, what they identify through this polymetallic nodule how much voltage has been created. 0.95 volt of the voltage is created, which is significant voltage, which can split and reach sometime the threshold voltage of 1.5 volt, which is split the water into the hydrogen and oxygen, as a result which the dark oxygen. So this is the recent discovery ki how this polymetallic nodules are responsible for the formation of this dark oxygen. So I had linked this concept, and now let's understand significance of polymetallic nodules. As I have said, in the polymetallic nodules, some precious metals are present like the iron, the manganese, the nickel, the cobalt, as well as the molybdenum, titanium, having the huge demand. And as you know, over the planet Earth, in the terrestrial part, okay, on the land, the because of the excessive mining, the resources is splitting. Okay, so as the country is having the EEZ reasons, they are moving towards the ocean for the marine resources, and this is the great source of the resource, the source of valuable metal like nickel, copper, cobalt, having the industrial applications such as the rechargeable batteries are formed in the electronics equipments they are used, and for the production of the stainless steels, the iron is. And so there is a demand has showed, especially because of continuous depletion of the terrestrial resource from the planet Earth. So there is a significance of the polymetallic nodules. But what are the challenges? What are the ecological implications? Okay, what are the ecological concerns of this deep sea mining, on which the Professor Andrews has been researched? Okay, so if you look at now, there are so many companies all around the world, okay, they started extracting the polymetallic nodules and the marine resources from the deep. And for that extractions, they use the lights within the ocean. And because of this light and because of this mining process, the for the nodules extractions, okay, the huge noise and the vibration which is created, which hampers and interfere the marine, especially the dolphin. And the light which is used, the artificial light which is used in the deep sea during the mining, that artificial lighting also alter the deep sea creatures intrinsic adaptation to darkness, because the species those who are able to live there, the because okay, they are adapted to live in the dark environment, so their cycles, the life cycle has been affected, their breeding pattern has been affected. So that may poses the threat to the diversity of the seas. So this is another concerns. And the deep sea environment has a snail-like biological and geological process, very slow. So it takes centuries to recover from the disruptions caused by the deep sea. So this is another concerns. If you continuously extract the things, okay, and damaging the marine ecosystem, which will creates hundreds and thousands of years to that ecosystem. And due to the excessive extraction of nodules from the seabed, okay, that led to stirring up of the sediment, this led to the formation of plumes, and that can extend the larger area, and which causes asphyxiate marine, because if you extracted the these polymetallic nodules, the oxygen formation process has been hampered, the dark oxygen formation has been hampered, and the marine life has started asphyxiating and dying within the water. That again a cause of concern for the marine biologist, for the sake of the marine sources and diversity. So these are the concerns related to the dark oxygen. So today I am going to wind this topic. So as I have discussed with you people, what is the dark oxygen, who discovered it, in which journal it has been published, what is the relevance of this concept. Okay, in the next class I will discuss the another topic. So thank you very much. Thanks.